I was gonna laugh if I didn't stop recording.
It's a lot of cut and paste there.
I don't know if I would have cut and pasted it.
Just upload it.
Just upload it.
Tell them stop listening at this time.
Stop listening at this time. Simple as that. So, guys, let's quickly do 6.2 and then we will call it a day. Okay. So, here I think with Learning Unit 6, from a theoretical standpoint, it's easy to understand what's going on. But what is important is also understanding the different ways that they can ask you the questions. So, let's see what they're asking us there in 6.2. So under 6.2, they say prepare a summary showing the forecasted new margin of Pricey Ltd for each possible outcome. On the basis of maximizing expected value, advise Pricey whether the advance contract for machinery hire should be accepted at low, medium, or high level. Okay? And then explain how the risk preferences of management who are responsible for the choice of machinery hire contract may alter the decision reached in the second part above. Okay, right. So let's see what exactly is going on here. So at the top of the question, they say Pricey Ltd is considering hiring its machinery as demand dictates instead of acquiring its own machinery and risk idle time. Okay, so we're thinking of outsourcing machinery as opposed to buying our own machinery and then the machinery sits and does nothing. All right. You are provided with the following information. Pricey will enter into an advanced hire agreement contract at one of three levels, namely high, medium, or low, which corresponds with the level of demand. Okay? So we will either pick high, medium, or low, depending on the level of demand. The level of demand will be unknown when entering into the agreement. Okay. However, a demand probability schedule has been drafted by management predicting the level of demand or orders. Where the level of machinery hired is less than the required to satisfy demand, the company will have to incur a penalty in order to obtain additional machinery. So basically they're saying when the level of demand, so level of demand for our goods is what? Less than the required. Huh? Where the machinery, where was I? Remember, where the level of machinery hired, sorry, okay, is less than the required to satisfy demand. Okay, so we're saying is less than, okay, here, machinery hired is less than the level of demand. All right, what happens? Less than the required, the company will have to incur a penalty. I'm just going to put pen. Okay, right. Then what else does it say? In order to obtain additional machinery. So we don't want a situation where the machinery hired does not meet the demand for our product. Does that make sense? Because we're going to end up paying a penalty. All right, so we don't want that type of a situation. Okay, right. Then it goes on to say no refund is available where the level of machinery is in excess of the required to satisfy demand. So in other words, they're saying if the scenario is such that we have gotten machinery, right? I'm just going to put MH, machinery hired is greater than the level of demand, That means we have spent money, because obviously that means we have more machinery, isn't, than we have demand. So basically it's like hiring high machinery but having medium or low levels of demand. So they're saying there's no refund under such a circumstance, which means that we are losing money. So we don't want a situation where there's a discrepancy between the two. But unfortunately, it's likely that we might have some discrepancy because what? We don't know the actual demand at the time of signing the contract or agreement. Can you see the issue that we have here? Okay, anyway, just wanted to make sure we understand that. Okay, let's flip the page and see what else they've given us. So their summary of predictions or probabilities are as follows. Okay, so you've got your order level, you've got your turnover, you've got your probabilities, you've got your advance higher costs. Okay, so in other words, this is like the deposit that you have to pay upfront in order to enter the contract, or to, if you are financing a car, for instance, the deposit that you need to put down before you can take the car. Penalty to hire additional machinery. There we've got our penalties from low to medium, and then from medium to high, and then from low to high. Okay, those are your penalties. Cool. So part one, they said we must prepare a summary showing the forecasted new margins. Okay, so in other words, we need to look at our revenue and minus any costs incurred so that we can get our profit for each of the different scenarios, isn't it? So again, in order to get that, we need to know our revenue minus our variable costs. Okay, get our contribution times our contribution by the number of units. But here they haven't given us units, isn't it? So what can we do? Did you see something there under the table? They said variable costs are 65% of turnover. Okay? So basically, we're basically saying turnover, we know, is the same as saying selling price, isn't it? Okay? So if they're basically saying variable cost is 65% of turnover. So turnover, in other words, sales is what? What is sales? It's 100%. Okay? Because this is variable cost is based on sales or turnover. Okay, so then contribution margin is then what? Is then 35%. Okay, which is how we got to this here. Guys, you must get a good night's rest before you go write my exam. Okay, contribution margin percentage is 35%. Okay, the summary showing the forecasted new margins. Okay, so now this is now how you are going to then calculate your payoffs pertaining to the different contracts. Remember, we can have a high contract, a low contract, or a medium contract. Okay, so if we have a high contract, what is going to be our payoff? All right, we know that our turnover with a high contract is going to be 12 million, isn't? So then we know that our contribution margin is 35% of that turnover. Okay, but if we go into the high contract, what is the deposit or the advanced higher contract that we must pay? A higher contract cost. Huh? Fabio, what is it? Yeah, calculate it for us. It's 2 million. Okay. Let's give him something for effort. What do you guys give him out of 10?
10.
Considering that you could have read it from your textbook because it was given, never mind. But the deposit, right, is 1,840,000. Are you seeing now where that's coming from? Okay. So that means that the total payoff is then what? Now you can calculate, Fabio. What is the total payoff there? 12 million times 35% or 0.35 gives you what? And then minus 1,840,000 because we have to pay that before we can enter into the contract. What is it?
Okay.
Come, guys, we're all calculating, guys.
2,560,000.
560,000. Okay. What are you guys getting? 360. Okay.
Then say you didn't trust me. By the way.
By the way.
By the way.
So now we go to, we've gone into, but then we have medium demand. All right. So in other words, our turnover is still going to be at a medium level, but we've signed a high contract. Okay. So 35% of 6,800,000, then minus the deposit or the advance that we must pay. What do we get?
540,000.
540,000. So we're still earning. Oh, I dropped the ball here. I forgot. We still need to calculate the probabilities, isn't it? So, yeah, let's do this.
The next one, so.
Yes. Sorry. This is the payoff for that particular outcome. Yes, you're right. Sorry. Yes. Yeah.
We must get sleep, eh?
The funny thing is, I'll be sleeping when you guys are writing. That's when I get my sleep. So the last one, what do we get? Come, guys. And the faster we do this, the sooner I can let you go. This is all we're doing for today.
So it's going to be a negative 720.
720,000, right? Okay. Then we go to the next one. Now, we've signed a medium contract. The first scenario is we signed a medium contract, right? But we have high demand. So that means that, remember, medium contract is for medium demand. But we realize, demand is more than we thought it would be, which means what's supposed to happen? And I'm looking at the green here. If we have higher the medium, that means, and we have high demand, that means our demand is greater than our, yes. Our machinery is less than our demand, or our demand is greater than the machinery we had, which means we're going to pay a penalty. So we need to include that in our costing. So here, we're obviously going to say, okay, how much do we pay as a deposit or an advance to get into the medium contract? It's now 1,200,000, isn't it? Okay, but then in addition to that, we know we are going to pay a penalty. And what is now the penalty to move from medium to high? They gave it to us. Medium to high, yes? 1,040,000. Okay, so then can we get our payoff for that scenario there? 960, okay. Okay, then we move to the next one. Now we have a medium contract and we have medium demand. Okay, so here it's obviously just minus 1,200,000. Okay, there's no penalties there. what is our payoff. So maybe there you can, no, you can't. I'm getting 180. Okay. Then this last one, same thing, 1,200,000. And negative of 80,000. Okay. 1,000. Okay, right. Then here we come, we do the exact same thing. We're basically saying, okay, for this, we're saying, oh, we had more demand than we anticipated. Okay, to enter the contract, it's only 800,000. Okay, but we now have penalties because we entered a low contract. In other words, we leased low machinery, but our demand was high. So low to high, the penalty is how much? 720,000. Okay. And whilst you guys are calculating that, I'm going to write out the remainder here. Even with the second one, can you see we have now the penalty of moving from low to medium, which in this case, low to medium is 680,000.
So if I can, they give you certain penalties for not others, for example, should that have preempted you to know that there's going to be a shortfall?
Well, no. In this case, which penalty did they forget? Oh.
There's only 3 kinds.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's
more penalties. No, they aren't. Okay. I can tell you, it's good you are checking it.
Oh, yeah. No,
but
yeah, sure.
So you see, but there is a where there's discrepancies, we're still going to incur certain losses. But it's now where there's no refund, where we've done the opposite. We've got more machinery than meets demand. Yeah. But the only way you'll know if we left out one of the penalties is if you check. So the only way we've established that is by way of you check. Okay. So I'm glad you're thinking about that. Okay. It's the first time I actually have ever done this question and someone has asked that. So great question. Right. So what are our amounts here when it comes to the low contract? 1,680,000. Second one, 900,000. And then the last one, 320. So here,
320,000.
all of them are positive payoffs. Okay. So now we take it a step further, right? So we've done the forecasted new margins, okay, for all the possible outcomes, okay. Step 2, they say, on the basis of maximizing expected value, advise pricey whether the advance contract for machinery hire should be accepted at the low, medium, or high. So basically, which contract should we take on is what they're asking us to now determine in step 2. So we take our payoffs and then we times by our probability, like we did in question 6.1, right? We take our outcomes and we times by the probability, or contribution times by the probability, to get the expected value. Okay, so number 1, 0.30 times the 2,360,000 that we calculated above. What do we get? 708. Second one, 50% of 540. There we go. And then 20% of a negative 36? No, that looks like 50%.
It was 50%. Sorry, sir.
No, it's fine. Someone was saying something?
144.
1,000 negative. Okay, so when you add those up, you should be getting 1.1 mil. That does not look right.
So I think you might have added the negative.
I might have added the.
Negative.
Mm,
If you see the 4, like the 8, the 12, yeah.
yeah.
So it should be
So what should this be then?
834.
834. And can someone just check for us there at the back?
I think you should take out the 1.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure it stays
Please
highlighted.
use a different color.
Oh, okay. You guys can't see.
Yes.
Mm.
They just uploaded our finance results.
Uh-huh.
That was quick.
Oh, very good.
8347.
It is correct. 834.
Yeah.
Shucks. That's not quite working as anticipated. Let's see.
Can't you use the gray color, sir?
No, it's only gray because I highlighted it. Let's do this. Let's go home. Is that fine?
Yeah.
You can see. You sure? I think you're just
Because I was
agreeing.
close to the board.
Let me see here. This is what I want. Don't know why. I'll change this now.
I did not know you could highlight it. But
This is actually a great tool for doing your
yeah, that's
notes.
perfect.
For doing your notes. Like if you have an tablet or a touchscreen, it's very easy because you can stick images and all that kind of stuff. So, just sharing, if you guys do your notes electronically, OneNote is a perfect platform for that. And it's free. So you don't pay for the app either. Okay. Right. Anyway, just on the side. So
588.
5,588 thousand.
Yes.
Next one,
590.
590. Last one.
16,000.
Okay. And are we getting to the same amount there? The correct amount there?
No. Well, yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Then the last one, 30% of 1,680,000. 504. Oh, sorry.
450.
450. And then finally, 64,000. Okay. And are we getting to the right amount there at the bottom there?
Should be.
Yeah, looks about right. Yes. That should be correct. Okay. So based on this, can you see which one gives us the highest expected value?
Yeah.
The medium. Okay. The medium. Okay, so obviously then you can see the medium higher contract should be entered into. It yields the highest expected payoff. Okay, with expected value theory, we always go with the highest payoff. Okay, if you guys ever go into finance and you study something like behavioral finance, you'll start to see there are other theories that proceed expected value theory, and they begin to incorporate, because the expected value theory obviously assumes that we are rational, but as human beings we know that we are not 100% rational. Okay, but anyway, that's irrelevant and not what you're going to write on, but there are some very interesting theories when it comes to behavioral finance. Some very interesting theories. Right, so the third part, what are they asking there on the third part? This is where, guys, you need to know your theory for this learning unit. So the third part, they're saying, explain how risk preferences of management, who are responsible for the choice of machinery hire contract, may alter the decision reached in part 2 above. What are the management, or let me say, what are the risk preferences? What risk preferences do we have? We have risk averters. What else?
Risk takers.
We have risk takers. And then, last one, risk neutral. Okay? Right. So now you also now need to know what are the characteristics of those respective types of risks preferences, isn't it? So here, guys, I'll just quickly give it to you. So if you are risk averse, in other words, if you are a risk averter, you want to avoid risk. Okay? So here it says lowest possible risk outcome. Okay, so the lowest possible risk outcome was that of, why are these amounts different? Oh, no, they're not different.
So that's from the other table.
The first,
Yeah. It's the
the low of each. Okay, yeah, thank you. I was losing it now. Like, what? What's going on? So let's see if I can zoom out. Can you? It's blurry, yeah?
Yeah. So
Okay, so basically here with the low, we're taking the low of each contract. So low of high, low of medium, and then obviously low of the low contract. Okay, and now here they're saying risk averse management would this should be would take a maxi-min approach. Therefore, will adopt the worst possible outcome for each alternative with the maximum payoff. Okay, so they would then take the low option here. This is the option that they would take and assume that, okay, we will get that there. What else do they say? Mean maxi, if you look at the assumption under that approach, is the worst possible outcome. So this is basically the mindset of a risk averse person. The worst possible outcome will always occur, and the decision making should select the option that has the highest possible outcome on the worst alternative. Highest outcome on the worst alternative, or lowest, should I say. Sorry, you're saying?
That's 320.
Yes, that's the 320. Yes, it's the highest return on all the lowest options.
so if all of
On
them
all the
were,
options. Sorry.
so if all of them were negative figures, we just take the least negative figure.
Yeah, that's what we would do. Because again, you are assuming worst case. Yeah. And that's more the the max min approach. Risk aversion is not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that you don't have a tolerance for high risk. So you'd rather play it safe. You'd rather take guaranteed gains as opposed to taking on risk with the potential of great reward, but at the same time also potentially incurring great losses.
That's basically what your survey was about.
Yes, actually. And that was behavioral finance, believe it or not. So you guys actually read the questions.
So you can't answer without reading questions.
Yeah, you just go from the book.
No. Thanks again for actually helping me with that. I'm actually presenting on that today.
We get an extra 10% in our.
Of course. For you, Thomas. Of course.
Thank you, sir.
So, no. So for the, but I know you guys don't need the 10% because you guys are killing it. So.
Some of us. No, we don't need the 10%.
What is from you saying?
say you can double it. Double it. It says those who don't like to double it and give it time.
Oh yeah, I was doing a similar.
Thomas, can you tell these guys you were joking?
So the ones who don't.
Can you tell them that this was all a joke?
I'm not joking. I'm saying please let my friend the same.
I can very much see. So okay, let's finish this up so I can release you early. Someone is saying they're healing over there. I want to give people space and time. All right. So the second risk preference that we discussed. Come, guys. Let's finish. The second one is risk taking. Okay. So in other words, you are not afraid of taking risk as long as there's a potential for high returns. Okay. So here, the approach that you then obviously take is the maxi max. All right. And the best possible outcome will always occur. And the decision making should select the option that has the highest possible outcome. This usually entails choosing the option with the highest risk. Okay. So when we look at the highest possible outcome under the three alternative contracts, again, we go here, highest one. So high contract, in other words, for high machinery, the highest possible outcome is your 2,360,000. Under the medium, the highest is 1.9. And then obviously under your low machinery contract, the high option there is your, is it? Why?
You've taken.
Oh, I've copied.
The highest.
I've copied.
If you go to the highest, you'll see you've taken one more something.
No, yeah, I don't think I copied the highest values. Isn't? That's what you're saying, isn't it?
No. So if you go up.
Oh, I've taken all of the values under the.
All of the values only from the high.
Only from the high, yeah. And when you check in the back of the textbook, they've taken the highest of the.
They don't go in depth like that.
They don't.
They only tell us what a risk averse person is.
Uh-huh.
They're looking at each hiring type, and then they basically just tell us the definition of a risk taker and risk neutral, basically. They don't break it down.
And do they select an amount?
Yeah.
What was the amount for that?
360. So it's the high.
Yeah, we were going to end up selecting that anyway, but I obviously just wanted to show the logic. Yeah, but anyway, the whole point, even here, if I go back, these amounts should, as you're highlighting, I only took off the high.
So do we do the same thing?
I should have taken off this. I don't think they would ask you to this detail. I don't think they would ask you to this detail.
It's always good to just.
Yeah, just to know. So let me quickly just copy this so that at least it's correct. Okay, there we go. All right, risk neutral is somebody who is indifferent towards the levels of risk as long as the returns are high. Okay, or maybe let me just read this to better explain it. This is an individual who is indifferent to the alternatives that yield an equal return. Okay, and will vouch for the alternative that yields the higher average return in the long term. All right. So basically, we're saying they don't mind taking on risk as long as it provides the highest average keyword profit or return, okay, in the long term. So here you're not just looking at one outcome, you're looking at the average. Okay, so here now we're looking at the expected value, and there obviously is for the medium contract. That's your highest. So they're obviously going to pick the medium. Okay, right, they're going to pick the medium contract.
Why are we filling figures from there now?
From where?
from the other table.
Yeah, here we weren't supposed to. No, no, no. So here I was just pulling these, only the contracts, the expected values for each contract. Can you see?
Yeah, why? Why?
But just to show which one was the highest,
Oh,
just for comparison purposes. Yeah. But you will run with the median.
to get the average.
Well, yes, the expected value is the average.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay. I think maybe somewhere I was just losing you on wording, or you were
Yeah.
losing me. But I think we were saying the same thing. Okay.
Usually the case.
No, indeed. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Can you get us quick?
Not today, Thomas. But Thursday, definitely, I'm sure. Oh, well, they verified, right?
They've already been released, sir.
Okay. So tomorrow.
He's not going to sleep.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow. I'll bring them tomorrow. Okay. Right.
Where did it